to get back to the lasagna, so the cardboard is put down so that the what's there isn't allowed the sunlight, and you can start putting stuff on top. And so you're actually starting to build your soil on top of your existing soil right away. And then in a lot of ways, if you're doing a low-lying area, you can build it up 2 feet and take it out of that low-lying area altogether. But that's strictly up to you guys. But the lasagna method, basically, you put the cardboard on the bottom, and then you put, compost, straw, you put on layers of different materials. So the key is you're supplying organic material for your biology to live in. So that's why you're using a lot of composts, etc. Now, another method, and I've seen people put cardboard down first and then wood chips, or just straight wood chips. And you have to consider wood chips are a very high carbon source. So if you're using them in your garden, don't ever dig them in, okay? Because they will literally draw the biology to them, and it's going to take the biology away from the connection with your plant that you want. They're going to be too busy building their houses themselves, to help the neighbor build his. Okay, that'd be the best way to look at it. So if you're using your wood chips, you're putting on a layer. Now, I know when I did a wood chip, I did 6 inches on top, and that was the maximum I was going to go, just because I was planting down through. I was moving the wood chips and planting down into the soil structure itself, but it's going to take time for that to break down. Generally, at least I would give it at least 6 months. And I was doing this before I understood about the biology. I'd seen some videos online. I can't remember the gentleman. It's there and it's not there. On his methodology of putting the wood chips down. But if you put too much, you're going to have to wait that much longer. And so if you have time, back to Eden, that's the channel or the methodology. I've seen guys literally put 2 feet of wood chips, and then they'll wait a year and then plant into the wood chips. And that gives the wood chips a chance to break down. And one of the things you have to be concerned with wood chips, guys, is when they start to decompose, they start to break down. It's like compost, it heats up. And there's regulations across the world on how many wood chips or how high or large your pile can be for the fear of fire, because they will literally self-ignite. So I would say, the less, I wouldn't go more than 6 inches. And hi to Def 31 and Shawnee's, Rory, Grumpy, how's you doing, brother? So the wood chips, you have to be careful that you don't self-ignite and burn your garden down, basically. So that's another method you can use. And remember why you're doing it, okay, is to add carbon for one, bedding for your biology, or that's what your organic material really can be considered, is bedding, or city states for your biology. Where you think that one wood chip, you look at it, oh, it's just this tiny little thing, but for say a protozoa that's going to live there, that's a planet, man. Like, seriously, you can't see them without a microscope. That's how small they are. So that massive piece, when they look at it, is a planet. It's huge. Okay, so you're supplying organic material in the 2 methods, the lasagna and the back to Eden. These are two methods that I actually really much appreciate because they're promoting the biology and the organic material. So if you're doing it, where you're just going to be tilling, of course, you're not going to be tilling wood chips in. That would be used on top. And hide rhythms of creation, by the way, as well. Guys, I'm not used to calling out names of that, so you'll have to forgive me, but I'm going to try to recognize you guys as much as I can. And of course, my wife, Sally Lily. So if you're going to be tilling, if you're not going to use the lasagna method, or you're not going to just add material on top, and like there's the gentleman in the UK that just adds material on top, and he was on Urban Gardener, I believe, here not that long ago, but he's just building up from the surface and working his way up. Hi Stone 64. That's a method that you can really use, but again, it's what's underneath there. Are you knocking that out, or is it going to be growing back through? So the premise of working your garden up, you're going to have to watch tomorrow's show, because I'm going to talk about how to put the materials back in to make it really good and get it going again. Because remember, you've killed off a bunch of the biology. The less till, the less biology you kill, the sooner that it heals, just like the razor cuts. That's why I promote no till. But when you're first starting out, if you've worked that soil up, if you have the potential to have a broad fork, and that's just basically 3 to 5 tines with a plate, couple of handles, and you stick it into the soil, you step on it, and then you break the soil. You don't, lift the soil right out. You just break it so that, moisture and air can get deeper in. So you till, and then you can broad fork. You're taking out that hard packed layer that develops from long-term farming and tillage. You get a compaction layer, and you want to break through that compaction layer. And it could be, as simple as going and buying some rebar, and putting the rebar down, knocking it down with a hammer, pulling it up, and putting a bunch of holes. You can go as far as renting a post hole auger and sinking holes down to get through the compaction layer, especially if what you're starting off was a farmer's field, or something like that. You're going to have a real compaction layer down there that, if you want to break through. Now, say you're doing the post hole auger method. Okay, so you've worked up your soil and you've dug all these post holes. Take some compost with biochar, activated biochar, put that down, and a mix of sand down into those holes. Then you're filling that up, and if it's activated biochar and if it's good compost, it's full of biology. Okay, so you can put those shafts down. Okay, and Andy talks about this when he's helping to save trees in Malibu, digging these shafts down to help to put the nutrients down where they're needed. So that's one of the things you can do if you want to go to that extreme. Now, it's all about speed. If you're going to those types of extremes, okay, you're going to bring that soil back to a true living state that's really going to be amazing, and quickly amazing, compared to just, putting a little bit on the very surface where things have to work down. Because remember, biology only moves approximately 1 inch per year. And Charles Dowding, thank you, that's the gentleman from the UK. It only moves 1 inch a year. So if you have, say, that acre, how many inches is an acre? So if you put a strip of biology down the center, how many decades would it take for that to move to the edge and to move several feet down? And it's only going to move down if you have the biology that can survive in the environment of very little oxygen or no oxygen and very little or no water. So that's where we have the different levels of biology, and it's all about that biology and that life. So hi, Dr. Levy. You've worked up your soil. We'll go from that. We put some holes in, if you can. You've dug down, like, with just a little shovel, and made little 1-inch pieces or pits, and you put in some biochar, and you put your soil back on top. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about what to do with that soil before you get into planting. But this is just one of the varieties of methods. Now, if you're a farmer, you've got large equipment, you could easily work this up. For people that want, they can rent a tiller, just a small hand tiller, and work it up.